Good morning. Mid-morning. Good mid-morning. So I'm here to introduce Mary. So this is going to be a 20-minute talk and then 10 minutes for questions and answers afterward. The talk itself will be recorded, so don't do anything embarrassing. Make sure your cell phones are off. They should be off after 2 presentations already, but just in case, check. My name is Luke Ossink, and I'm here to introduce Mary Rabourn, whose title is very long.
That's not even the right title.
Is it not?
Communications.
Community Stewardship Specialist slash Project Program Manager slash Freer of Slaves, Mother of Dragons.
Yeah. Okay, the last part's true.
She works for the King County Department of Natural Resources and Parks. So without further ado, Mary Rabourn.
Thank you. Thank you to all my fans out there. Who was in the talk yesterday for Nancy Lee and the training? Okay, very nice. All right. And you all know I'm still searching for my missing tooth, right? Okay, just wanted to mention that. If you find it, let me know. So, sharing outreach, the resource reservoir. My job today is to talk about online resources. Woohoo! Okay, that you are in for some excitement. So grab your pillow, your popcorn, and get belted in. Here we go. The resource reservoir. First, a little background. I'm here representing STORM, which is the Stormwater Outreach for regional municipalities. You'd think I'd have that down. And it's a coalition of stormwater managers that are responsible for education and outreach under the NPDES permit. So all those folks who, were busy doing their engineering jobs or their management jobs, and somebody came along and said, oh, by the way, I want you to do all the education outreach too. We have very few folks who are just doing education outreach. So there was a real need for this kind of sharing tool that we built. So a short history of STORM started sometime around, I think, 2007 by my predecessor and a few other folks who said that our jobs would be a lot easier if we teamed up, shared our resources, hit projects together, but most importantly, really had the same messaging across the region. If we did that, we would be able to, we hope, more effectively and possibly faster change norms. Norms are, the expectations and attitudes that people have about things like, if you go to France and there's dog poop all over the sidewalks, you come here and you're like, oh, thank goodness there's not that much dog poop on the sidewalks. So that's a norm. In France, you can bring your dog to the dinner table in a restaurant and let him poop on the sidewalk. Here, not so much. So, of course, when we started out, it was pretty rudimentary with outreach. Literally, when I started out, they gave me a card table, some photos, and a chunk of cardboard and said, here, glue these together and go out and tell people about stuff. So we've come a long way, and as you've heard yesterday with Nancy Lee, we're kind of really formatting now our communications and outreach to fit a framework that works for our audiences. Not for us, not for our managers, but really for our audiences. So, a little background. What are you going to get out of this talk today? Hopefully, save a little time, get some free outreach resources. Woo, that's good. And connect. That's what we're hoping today. Now, give you a little background as well. When STORM started, of course, they thought, well, they were revolutionaries, really. They had the complete bandolier, they're ready for battle, they're supercharged up, and they created this, the internal sharing resource on a blog type spot. I'm going to walk you through a few things here. And of course, as revolutionaries, they want to build new things and create new things and come up with new programs. So one of the efforts that they did was Don't Trip and Drive, the award-winning project that we had hoped would go statewide this year, but didn't quite make it into the legislature. But thank you, Clark County, for continuing the effort. It's yay, no leaks. And Natural Yard Care was one of the early social marketing-based projects. It's probably been about 15 years that series of natural yard care efforts has been going on throughout different counties. Peggy's been one of the good ones, too, that has really pushed this forward, exploring a whole variety of ways to try and reduce pesticide use, fertilizer use, water conservation, and native plants, a whole variety of things people can do for habitat. And Dog Doogity. Who here's heard the Dog Doogity tune? Oh, yeah, I should be playing it now, and we could be like, yes. Okay, but I won't. And then Puget Sound Starts Here started an overall campaign to really tie together all these best management practices. When it originally rolled out, though, a consultant was involved, and it was really great effort, but it really focused more on lifestyle about Puget Sound and less about best management practices, and that was frustrating to the team. So they ended up revamping the website, or asking for a website that really focused on best management practices. But at the same time, as revolutionaries, they thought, well, we really have to get this message out, so they explored social media. They built a Facebook page with the campaigns and ended up with over 10,000 followers. And Don't Trip and Drive added a Facebook page. And then we added a Facebook page in Spanish to help promote a lot of the information. And we recently launched an Instagram page. You can see things are starting to get kind of busy in the storm world. That's a lot of online assets to take care of. So how are we going to save time? That was one of the first pieces. If we're going to move forward with a whole suite of outreach tools, we need to be able, most of the membership that participates, it's ad hoc, it's on extra sauce on top of their job. So how are we going to make this easier? First, we revamped the Puget Sound Starts Here website, and we really looked at the Google Analytics. The key page that really has the most traffic is facts. Turns out a lot of people, hey, they might be into lifestyle, but they really want to know what's going on with Puget Sound. What are some basic facts? Those are really difficult to find in one consolidated area, so we put a few in there. Then the take action are the BMPs that we're talking about, and how we tied together our different web pages. And then classroom tools is our second most popular piece. We have a lot of teachers and educators and other staff from jurisdictions coming for classroom tools, and about, gets a couple peeks. So here is the take action. We haven't branded it the same way, but this is natural yard care, pet waste, Don't Trip and Drive, and then the future kind of holding place for green stormwater infrastructure. Now, to put it another way, what we did was we took all the websites that we had and our social media, and we tried to put it into one structure. So we have the Puget Sound Starts Here is the backbone web page. And we've added Don't Trip and Drive, Dog Doogity, Natural Yard Care, and we've also included their various social media channels. We've got the Spanish, Puget Sound Starts Here, the Instagram, and the original Weebly page, which was all storm business. Trying to pull this all together in one cozy, warm blanket instead of having all of these websites and social media assets out there. Now, who has to manage multiple social media sites? Okay, is that super fun or an extra piece of work? Yeah, lots of work. And how about websites? Who's managing like consumer-facing websites or your own? Yep. It's a lot of work too, isn't it? Especially if you're going to upgrade. Oh, I won't even go into all that stuff. So what we ended up doing is also building in the backdrop our bigger strategy. We're going to, thanks to a grant from Washington State Department of Ecology, they gave us the go-ahead to build a library. That's what it was called at the time, a library of resources. But this was an opportunity as well to build in future assets to this, so that if we have a document here or some other piece, is there a way that we can then automatically have it feed these websites so we don't have to go in individually and do that extra piece of work? So here's where the free outreach resources come. This was the piece of the library that we did to fulfill that grant. Here's the library, and you can look at it on your cell phone. If you Google Puget Sound Storm Group.org, you could even just say Puget Sound Storm Group, and Google will find it. This is the public-facing piece. Every time you go to the page, it will switch what documents you see there, keeping it fresh. Now, without a sign-in, this is the free part. You can download any of these documents. You can click here to kind of see a little thumbnail summary about the document. If you want to download it, you just click on the PDF piece. And very easy for any user. But, let's see here. Without the sign-in. And then also without the sign-in, we have toolkits. Let's just take a closer look here. So the toolkits for some of our key projects, like Don't Trip and Drive, Puget Sound starts here, and stormwater messaging, which will be the talk that comes up after this talk, that's where we're trying to put sort of our key pieces. We may rotate those out depending, at some point in time. But when you go to a toolkit, you will see all of the really critical stuff about the project. You'll see the initial research that's done. Then you can see the implementation plan. You can also find the advertising pieces, the Facebook ads, the links to videos. It's all kind of consolidated there so that any jurisdiction can just download one little piece that they need, say they just want to do a coupon. So they have the example of a coupon, and there it is, all for your use. So connecting. With the sign-in, anyone, any jurisdiction, we had to use a sign-in because we do get a surprising number of .ru and, porn-based emails that come in and ask, oh, I want to join your site. And we do screen mainly for jurisdictions and nonprofits. Those are our two key audiences. So, super easy to sign in. Just click on Request an Account. And then we take a quick look, make sure the address is legit, and say, okay, you get an automatic little login that you can change to your own personal one. And same thing, if you forget it, same thing. You'll just get a new quickie and you can update your login. So the official stuff, that Weebly site, we still needed to put that somewhere, so this is where it is. So if you're a member and part of the members club, you can take a look at anything that's related to Storm, our fact sheet, our strategic plans, and other background. Now, here's the neat stuff, or some of the neat stuff that we have for members. You can do, right at this moment, you have a members library, which gets you access to native files. So if you needed say you saw a brochure that you thought was pretty cool. You really do want to modify it a bit, but you want to use the same photo. You can go in here and find that native photo and or find the person who created the brochure and request it if it's not uploaded yet, and create your own version as well. So we're really trying to build this both for new folks, but also for succession. I have a wealth of things that I'd like to put in there, and that people will be able to access, not on my desktop. In fact, half the time I can't even find stuff on my desktop. So this is a great place to put those key pieces of information that's related to a campaign or program where you can find it again or share it. So to add we really made this do-it-yourself. So by do-it-yourself, that means we're going to trust all of you to add only your best examples. Don't give us your fluffernutter stuff just because you thought it was cute. No. If it worked, it worked, and or better yet, you had evaluation stats on it or user testing, that'd be awesome. Then we want to see it here, and you can share it. But it also means, as a do-it-yourself, you have the ability to edit others' uploads. So cautionary note on that. Just edit your own material unless you see a factual error or something. So you can easily upload. This is a form. I won't walk you through it because you can go in and poke around yourself. But you can call it whatever you want, a booklet, a newsletter, a memoranda, a coupon, an image. You enter your information you personally would like and think you'd like to find again, but also think is important to any future user. For example, here's the parts. You could be a poster, a presentation, video links. The only thing we don't load into this are native video files. They're humongous, and I am trying to kind of save space and /cache, but a link is pretty easy to do. And then a contact, should somebody need native files for video. But otherwise, everything else, free game. And to give you, in your notes part, and these can be expanded too. If you don't see something here that you want to use or remember, feel free to let us know. So we put, for example, references, project contact. You know, if you have a credit or a copyright, that's a good place to put that too. So, for example, you just take your material and add it. And, you know, you can do a quick and dirty job and come back later, or just leave it at quick and dirty. And it will automatically be added to the library and accessible to any user, both the general public or the members. Okay, so that little baby of all those online assets. What is the most common thing about babies? A lot of care and feeding. And so here's where we feed the beast. So on the back end, if your document, we have some perennial favorites regionally that have been around for a long time. The Natural Yard Care booklet, Natural Lawn Care booklet, maybe some disposal sheets, that kind of thing. If we're going to update that on the website, and we know it's featured on the website, we can click to please update this on the Puget Sound Starts Here website or update it on the Natural Yard Care, and we can add as we go. So this is an option for a back-end way to feed out to the websites so that you don't have an extra step of trying to remember, oh yeah, I updated this doc, and where else do I have to update it? And also, it can be, your document can be just for other storm members. It doesn't have to be all public, so you can click that option as well. And the cool, super cool thing is we have stats. Who here is into stats? Woo, yeah. Okay, here's what it is. So, for example, you can go to the stats page, you can customize it, you can say, hey, I want to know everything for the last year, I want to know everything for the last week. And to give you an idea, since 2017 when we first built it, now a build, remember, for this kind of data tool takes, oh gosh, how long did it take, Christy? A while. A year, maybe about a year. So for this type of tool, you have kind of the design phase, you have a prototype, you have a redesign phase because you go back to your team and test it and poke at it, and then you have a launch. And even with the launch, you have continual updates or improvements, because what we find with these tools, a couple of key things. One, have a really invested group of users right off the bat. People who are dedicated to the revolutionaries on that end, because they're the ones who are going to drive it and make it something that they want to use. And if they want to use it, and the early adopters in that curve that Nancy Lee showed you, they will help kind of bring in the rest of the show me crowd. So we have 474 documents uploaded since 2017, which really means 2018 because it was functioning fully by then. We've got about 1,700 downloads so far. And we have about 1,300 plus searches, so 500 by non-members and 800 by members. So we're getting, steady build of usage. And we have about 80 members and 48 jurisdictions. I want to give a serious shout out to Christy Lovelace, our coordinator. First of all, because she is our star uploader of documents. Absolutely. And then thank you, Christy. Yep. And she dogs people to get their stuff in there too, which is also helpful. Followed by Heather Trim, Michelle Purdue, who just spoke, and I are tied for kind of medium. We're just medium. So what's next? The connecting piece. So I think this is the part that will be hopefully really useful to every jurisdiction, no matter whether you're on the west side or the east side. And this is what we're hoping. So we have a prototype right now for a members page. So the members page, again, will be do-it-yourself. We're crowdsourcing this tool. We can't upload and do everything for this kind of tool. So the members page, you can go in, you add your own photo, your fun fact, what your subject matter preference or expertise is, and your contact information. So somebody else can go, search for multicultural marketing or something, and a couple dozen people come up. Then you have, again, a start to your research, knowing who you could contact or who's built things. And then the other piece, the membership, the stats, again, on the back end, our super talented web developer, Lynn Jardine, has already built away and is thinking ahead so that on the stats, you could go through and pull your own name. So you could say, oh, what have I done for the last year? And those documents that you uploaded will come up, or the events that you uploaded, which we're going to talk about in a sec, will come up. So you will also have your own personal record of what you did last year. Who tracks what they did last year? Yeah, well, you know, exactly. I could certainly do a better job. In fact, half the time I forget what I did last week. So it's, if you get in there and use the tool, you know you at least will have a record that you can clip to your performance evaluation or something to remind yourself of how amazing and awesome you were in the last year. Or convince others that you are. That's the best part. Okay, so PugetSoundStormGroup.org, sign up. Now the part I want to mention that is also very exciting, we have prototyped and haven't rolled it out yet, we've been tweaking it, is an event piece. So for example, as either a nonprofit or a member, you would log in and be able to add your event. So I'm going to do a natural yard care workshop, or I'm doing a low impact development workshop, or whatever workshops or training or whatever event that you want to do, salmon watchers. You can add it here, and it will, you click whether it goes to Puget Sound starts here or natural yard care, if it's applicable, and it will load automatically. And we have in the event piece, which I didn't include a picture, but poke around in both Puget Sound starts here and natural yard care, and you'll see it has a map, it has the latest scrolling through, and the older ones are off the calendar once they're done. And again, when you upload those events, they'll be attached to your name and your record of what you were doing last year. So it's kind of a way online to do both data management and also connect, hopefully, with many other education outreach staff. So thank you very much. Any questions?